The implementation strategy is not in place. The announcement of legalizing cannabis was done. We moved from an illegal substance to a discussion about decriminalization and have moved now to legalization without a full cost analysis, without a full implementation strategy, and without consultations with the provinces and therefore the municipalities who will bear the brunt of these changes.
Hear, hear.
Minister Friesen from Manitoba appeared before us, and in his opening statement he said, "Let us be clear, when it comes to cannabis legislation, the lion's share of the responsibilities and the risk falls on the provinces, whether we are talking about public education, public awareness campaigns, the costs that will undisputably be there for health, mental health, the courts, or roadside policing, or other policing matters that arise, not to mention the regulatory responsibilities that fall to the provinces. The fast tracking of this legislation has been exacerbated by and stated by the provincial governments who will bear the load. It would seem to me that the government may have some fair legislation policies that they wish to implement. My concern is that these are such overarching issues that they cannot be cobbled together and implemented very quickly. They are years in the making, and therefore it seems to me that it is unfair to the provinces, to the municipalities, but more particularly the people of Canada, that there is not a roadmap that has been agreed to as to how we proceed. It was disconcerting to hear ministers of finance from provinces say, well, we've got a deal, it's in place for 2 years, and we'll see it. We will manage the crises as they arrive. This will be on the backs of citizens, and my concern is particularly on the backs of youth. Minister Friesen, in his statement also, and I'm not going to quote it for brevity's sake, was an educator, and he said to turn around attitudes, particularly in young people, is a long-term venture. It is not a formula. It is education upon education upon education. Young people are the most at risk in this cannabis discussion, and we will face that in the 2 bills coming ahead. But surely the government has a responsibility to do the due diligence on the costs that are implied in this issue. This will be one of the most major shifts that we have made that will affect young people. And only now is it coming out, the concerns about the safety of young people, the concerns about the medical damage that may be done to young people, and that is the medical evidence about the brain, that it is not like other medical issues or other drugs. In fact, some other hyper drugs will not have the effect on the brain as the research is showing. We know from Colorado, and the Premier of Manitoba, again, as stated by Minister Friesen, had a long discussion with the Governor of Colorado, and he said, what was the most important thing that should have been done in Colorado, because they've run into so many pitfalls along the way? And he said, time to implement. That was the advice of a jurisdiction that has put it in place. So I would suggest that Bill C-63 is not good management, it is not good implementation, and good governance is not only good policies, but the implementation of good policies. And Bill C-63 in cannabis will touch a lot of criminal law. We know the administration of justice is in the provincial hands, but we also know justice and perceived justice is not only the laws we have, but how we administer them. So I have great concerns about the future of how we put issues into place. My final comment is on the Asian infrastructure investment.